Clementine is an S-rank reticle tendency sinner who deals physical damage. Her main role is to provide physical damage support for the party. However, if you play her in a Winnow Overlimit team, then you will get the complete version of her, since she could act as the team sub-DPS, core breaker, and overlimit value provider. Her gameplay divides to two main points: cast her ultimate and gain chief energy. When she casts her ultimate, two things will happen. 1. She deals 2 core damage, and 2. She applies physical damage taken up to 25% to the enemy. Meanwhile, when you gain chief energy, Clementine will buff her own physical damage. This basically makes her dependent on stages with a lot of cores, since breaking enemy's core is the most common way to gain chief energy. However, if you play her in Overlimit team, then this dependence can be negated. Not only that, she offers extra abilities when Overlimit Potestas is equipped. For starter, her exclusive allow her to gain Overlimit value after each of her ultimate, and her physical damage increase buff now can also be enjoyed by Sinner who consume chief energy, giving synergy to Overlimit Sinner like Xiaofeng and Revert Zoya. At this point, I think you have enough information to decide whether she is a must pull or a pass for your account, but if you want to know her abilities in more detail, then let's break down her skill. Clementine characteristic is that her damage plus 5% and another damage plus 5% to enemies with broken cores, standard damage setup to fill her role as a sub-DPS. Her main intensifies that her ultimate core damage increased by 1, so she can fulfill her duty as core breaker of the team. Her normal attack deals damage equal to 76 to 152% of her attack within skill range, nothing really special. Her ultimate is where all of her mechanics starts. It costs 28 energy. When she casts her ultimate, Clementine triggers Bad Disturbance 2 times. At Shackle 1, Bad Disturbance will trigger 3 times. This will be important later, so keep this in mind. So what is Bad Disturbance? Bad Disturbance is a special force field that lasts for 2 seconds each. During this period, Bad Disturbance deal damage equal to 60 to 120% of Clementine's attack to all enemies within skill range 6 times. This damage counts as winnow damage. Speaking of skill range, you might have noticed that each hit of Bad Disturbance has different skill range. The first hit range is a cross area and the second hit range expands to 3x3 area. When the ultimate deals damage to enemies whose cores haven't been broken, it deals additional 1 core damage. This effect can be triggered 1 time per enemy and per ultimate. Now, let me clarify this last part. The core damage of Clementine only apply if the enemy has core. That is obvious, but why does it matter? Well, this will matter if you use Clementine to support a sinner with an abilities which count the core damage dealt by the attack regardless of its actually deal core damage or not. One example of sinner who has this type of ability is Necresta Hela. As you can see here, Clementine ultimate triggered to off Necresta Hela's special attack because it deals 2 core damage, 1 from the ultimate and 1 from the Mania Intensify. But when the boss core has been broken, not a single Necresta Hela special ability was triggered, and that's why it is worded the way it is. So before you want to pair her with Necresta Hela because of the physical damage support, you might also want to consider this not so synergized mechanic. Other thing to clarify about this ultimate is that the core damage is applied on the first hit to the enemy, not the first hit of the ultimate. So even if the ultimate already on the second Bad Disturbance, for example, new enemy who enter the skill range still going to take the core damage. If you're familiar with how Pine ultimate works and her passive 1, then it works exactly like that. Clementine passive 1 is the party damage amper. When Clementine's ultimate deals damage, Clementine inflicts crime print mark to the enemy for 6 seconds. Crime print mark will be indicated with this bat symbol on the enemy with a number next to it. The number next to it, I think it represents the level of the skill. So if you see number 7 next to it, that means the passive 1 is level 7. What crime print does, it will apply physical damage taken plus 12.5 to 25% to the mark bearer. When crime print mark bearer receives winnow damage 3 times, Clementine deals additional damage equal to 200 to 400% of her attack to the enemy. This damage counts as winnow damage but cannot trigger its own effect. This effect can be triggered 3 times per second. Unfortunately, Clementine on her own will not be able to use this effect to the fullest, because her ultimate Bad Disturbance deals only 6 winnow damage per 2 seconds. That's 3 winnow damage per second, meaning she only can trigger it once. So how do you trigger it 3 times per second? Well, don't worry, with the help with a certain white kitty cat, you can trigger this easy because the amount of we know damage that she dealt, voila. This puts Xiaofeng has better synergy with Clementine than Reforged Zoya. Clementine can further boost her own damage with her passive too. For each 1 chief energy gain, Clementine's physical damage is increased by 1.2 to 2.4%. This effect can be stacked 10 times, essentially granting physical damage plus 24% at maximum level and stacks. Passive 2 also have a way to be granted to other Elite Sinner. When Elite Sinner consume chief energy, this buff will also be applied to them. To clarify, this only works on overlimit Sinner like Xiaofeng or Reforged Zoya, but let's be real, we prefer Xiaofeng at this point, whose ultimate cost is chief energy instead of the usual energy. And keep in mind, casting Potestas does not count as the Sinner consuming the energy, even if it gives them some benefits. Last but not least is her exclusive Crown Rand. When Bad Disturbance disappears, Clementine gains 1, 2 or 2 energy. If equipped with overlimit Potestas, you additionally gain 30, 45 or 60 overlimit value. Now, at first I found this exclusive underwhelming. I mean, gain 2 energy and 60 overlimit value per ultimate which costs 20 energy? Yeah, right. Until I read one more time that this effect is triggered when Bad Disturbance disappears. Meaning, since Bad Disturbance triggered twice, you actually gain 4 energy and 120 overlimit value on exclusive level 3. That is a lot and valuable for overlimit team, especially if you have Clementine as Shackle 1. And I will show you why. Okay, it's time for showcase. As I mentioned a couple of times already, her best performance will be with overlimit Sinner like Xiaofeng or Reforged Zoya. But since Xiaofeng have further synergy for dealing with no damage, I would say Xiaofeng is better than Reforged Zoya. Since we bring Xiaofeng, then Jichuan and Ras will be best pick as additional elemental damage and overlimit support. In Jichuan case, he also able to grant damage support for Clementine since Clementine passive 1 is considered with no damage. You can fill in the remaining 2 slots with whoever you need. In this case, I will bring Shin for healing and LL for energy. On the physical stage of Broken Front Line against Revenant Echo, personally Clementine physical damage amper was not really felt since my Xiaofeng and Jichuan was already strong, and I can consistently kill the stage within 25 seconds on a lazy day. What was felt is actually Clementine contribution as a sub DPS and core breaker. Clementine able to use 2 ultimate and clear 2 group of enemies which normally killed by Xiaofeng. This result in Xiaofeng able to save her ultimate for later waves without the need to stall for resources. Because of this, I'm able to finish this fight within 20 seconds, which is an improvement from my usual 25 seconds. Her contribution as sub DPS and core breaker also can be seen in the fight against Artificial Divinity. The fight is nasty because they just throw a bunch of waves from different directions that can kill your support immediately. So fuck this boss. I used Xiaofeng to set up Tiger Sprint and use her ultimate at the beginning to clear the first wave since it was probably the hardest part of the fight with so many mobs spawn. Normally this will makes me have to stall because I no longer have any resources causing me to lose sometimes. But with Clementine's here, I got that part covered. Her ultimate can easily clear a group of enemies pushing the next wave early. Then with LL help, use her ultimate again to break core, bringing resources back to Xiaofeng. From there, Xiaofeng can continue massacre the enemies. As a result, I'm also able to finish the fight within 20 seconds, which is another improvement. To put it simply, Clementine ultimate being powerful and able to core break helps a lot to push waves and gaining back some chief energy. Now, all of that is a bit technical. If you want to see the biggest jump, then of course we need to look at Tide of Ashes. In Tide of Ashes, I can immediately felt the effect of her physical damage amper from the very first core break window. The boss HP managed to go below 290 million, while usually I cannot do that. From that point, I knew that my final score will be higher. Other thing that I noticed is I have less pressure in maintaining overlimit stacks. Maintaining overlimit stack is already possible with well-invested Jichuan and LL alone, but the extra overlimit value for Clementine give me some sort of safety just in case I fuck up for being too aggressive with Xiaofeng in the break state window. This is despite of my Clementine's exclusive is only level 1 during this run. At the end, I able to deal 73 million damage in Tide of Ashes. That's almost 30 million damage more than what I did on Xiaofeng video, showing the significant contribution of Clementine's physical damage support and over limit value. As sub DPS, she dealt about 12 million, which is the third highest on the team. The second highest was Jichuan, but to be fair, my Jichuan is Shackle 5, and Shackle 5 Jichuan is so broken that she deals additional 800% of damage every normal attack when Mortal Formation is activated. And since I bring LL to the fight, the Mortal Formation is activated almost the whole fight. So yeah. But I think if my Jichuan is only Shackle 4, Clementine damage will have been higher. Speaking of Shackle though, something that I noticed, keeping Mortal Formation activated will be harder if I have S0 Jichuan. The thing is, when Jichuan is Shackle 1, she can grant one more Heaven Mark to an allied Sinner. This Heaven Mark will increase Clementine's damage output since it buffs elemental attack, increasing her performance as the sub DPS. But it doesn't stop there. Jichuan also has the ability to refund the ultimate cost of Heaven Mark bearer once every Jichuan's ultimate. If you use this ability on Clementine, she will be able to do her ultimate twice, which essentially dealing 4 core damage. This could change your team comp since now you can bring less core breaker and bring more support, which is why I'm more comfortable to bring LL now. In other circumstances where you have Shackle 0 Jichuan with the same team comp, I might have to use LL ultimate on both Jichuan or Clementine, depend on the phase of the fight. But considering Clementine ultimate requires 20 energy, that will need some planning and at least 2 LL ultimate. And saving 2 LL ultimate will definitely cost me on Jichuan ultimate uptime. In conclusion, Clementine is a Sinner who was made for Winnow team in mind, despite of her physical damage support can be used in a more general team. The damage amper contribution is obvious and can be immediately felt in a long fight. And her value as core breaker can increase or decrease depend on your Jichuan investment, making it Jichuan still is the core member of this Winnow team. Skill priority starts with her passive 2, passive 1, ultimate, and the normal attack. Passive 2 first because I believe the buff is permanent, while passive 1 is lasts for only 6 seconds. For exclusive, assuming that you are interested to run this Winnow Overlimit team, then I recommend investing up to level 2 or 3. At level 1, I am still able to keep the Overlimit buff for the whole fight as I mentioned in the showcase, although that was with some micromanaging and assistance of Shackle 4 LL and my own Shackle 5 Jichuan. Without it, I think it won't be possible or I guarantee it's going to frustrate you. For Crime Brand in general, I recommend to use damage support. First option is Heartache. Very simple, just make sure she is the last to deal the core damage and enjoy the damage taken plus 20% for 15 seconds. If let's say you give Heartache to someone else, then your second option is Soul Reef. It reduces the enemy's defense, which is useful for bosses since they usually have high defense. Other than that, Clementine being a range make it easy to keep the buff up, since sometimes if you put this to a melee, they have to run away if there is AoE. For the third slot, Eroded Island is the best option since it provides further physical damage amper. Additionally, if you are speedrunning this season Broken Frontline, you can use the basic initial energy setup if you need her ultimate early to clear some mob. Xiaofeng is so strong this season that she able to kill the boss even without entering the core break state, making Heartache and Soul Reef are too slow. For Shackle, Clementine is complete as Shackle 0, however here is her notable shackles and my recommendation. Shackle 1, Ultimate Bat Disturbance now triggers 1 additional time. This third hit range expands to diamond shape. Crime Print Mark Bearer physical damage taken also additionally increased by further plus 20%. Now, the star of this shackle is not the additional damage amper, but the extra bat disturbance. Remember her exclusive? Clementine grants over limit value each time bat disturbance disappear. At exclusive level 3, that's total of 180 over limit value gain. That's almost an extra ultimate for Xiaofeng. Combined with Jichuan ability to refund ultimate cost, it makes it so much easier to maintain your over limit value. I personally recommend this if you already invested with Winnow over limit team and have some spare resources. Other notable shackles are Shackle 3, Bat Disturbance damage coefficient plus 30% and passive 1 damage coefficient plus 100%. I cannot confirm if this is additive or multiplicative since I don't have this, and I only recommend it if you are whales or obsessed with score. The rest of the shackle is just cherry on top, like attack plus 5% or when entering battle gain 18 energy, which only useful for speedrun I guess. Alright chief, we are near the end of the video. If you find the video helpful, don't forget to drop a like, comment and subscribe for more Path to Nowhere content. My name is Kaiza and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.